Let me try to use a tool that we have at the Museum of Care to say something about anti-branding. At the Museum of Care, we've had a reading group since not long after the Carnival and David Graeber's death. Of course, we've been mostly discussing Graeber's texts, but not only. That seemed to be the right thing to do. It was immediate, easy to organize, and it was not only a way to make community, but also to grieve, to keep Graeber's incredibly creative thought alive. So, in line with this, I'm going to read you something. This is from Possibilities. If we wish to continue applying terms borrowed from political economy, it might be more enlightening to start looking at what we've been calling the consumption sphere, rather as the sphere of the production of human beings, not just as labor power, but as persons, internalized nexuses of meaningful social relations. This is not to say that everything has to be considered either a form of production or of consumption. Consider, for example, a softball game. It's clearly neither, but it at least allows us to open up some neglected questions, such as that of alienated and non-alienated forms of labor, terms which have fallen somewhat into abeyance and therefore remain radically under-theorized. What exactly does engaging in non-alienated production actually mean? Such questions become all the more important when we start thinking about capitalist globalization and resistance, rather than looking at people in Zambia or Brazil and saying, look, they're using consumption to construct identities, implying they are willingly or perhaps unknowingly submitting to the logic of neoliberal capitalism. Perhaps we should consider that in many of the societies we study, production of material products has always been subordinate to the mutual construction of human beings. What they are doing, at least in part, is simply insisting on continuing to act as if this were the case, even when using objects manufactured elsewhere. In other words, maybe it is the very opposite of acquiescence. Now, what does this have to do with anti-branding? We often hear that anti-branding lost because multinationals started paying lip service to it. And true, there's a tendency for things that emerge as subversive forms to then become absorbed and remarketed. And obviously, this is the case with anti-branding. But it is also true that you're not actually destroying all the subversive potential of something if they start adopting it and benefit from it. Sometimes it's a gesture of victory. For me, what's important here, and it will be my conclusion, is that we should not give in to defeatism, acknowledge our victories, however small they are, and keep up the fight. This is, I think, Graeber's mobilizing message.